Is employer sponsorship required for a work visa? In most countries, an employer's sponsorship is typically required for a work visa, but there are some exceptions and alternative visa options that do not require sponsorship. Here's a breakdown by country and common visa types. 1. United States. Employer-sponsored work visas. H-1B visa requires employer sponsorship. The employer must file a petition and demonstrate that the job is in a specialty occupation that typically requires a degree. L-1 visa requires a sponsoring multinational employer, available for employees transferring within the same company from an international location to a U.S. branch. O-1 visa usually requires an employer or agent to sponsor, particularly for those with extraordinary abilities in their field. Non-sponsored options. Optional practical training, OPT. For F-1 student visa holders, this is a temporary work authorization, typically post-graduation, and doesn't require a sponsoring employer. EB-1 and EB-2, self-petition. Certain highly skilled individuals or those with extraordinary ability can self-petition for a green card without an employer, particularly under the EB-1 or National Interest Waiver, EB-2 NIW. 2. United Kingdom. Employer-sponsored work visas. Skilled worker visa requires employer sponsorship. The employer must be licensed and provide a certificate of sponsorship for a qualifying role. Intra-company transfer visa requires sponsorship from a multinational employer for employees transferring from an overseas branch. Non-sponsored options. Graduate route, post-study work visa, allows recent graduates to work for up to 2 years or 3 for PhD graduates without sponsorship. Global talent. Visa for highly skilled individuals in certain fields, for example, science, technology, arts, who may qualify through endorsement by a recognized body instead of an employer. High potential individual, HPI visa, allows recent graduates from top global universities to work in the UK without employer sponsorship. 3. Canada. Employer-sponsored work visas. Temporary Foreign Worker Program, TFWP, requires a labor market impact assessment, LMIA, from a sponsoring employer showing the need for a foreign worker. Employer-specific work permits for certain employment scenarios where an employer is required to provide a job offer and meet specific requirements. Non-sponsored options. Post-graduation work permit, PGWP, allows international graduates from Canadian institutions to work without a sponsoring employer. Express entry. Permanent residency pathways like the Canadian Experience Class and Federal Skilled Worker Program allow applicants to apply without an employer if they meet criteria for skills, language, and experience. 4. Australia. Employer-sponsored work visas. Temporary skills shortage, TSS visa, subclass 482. Requires employer sponsorship. The employer must demonstrate a need for a skilled worker and sponsor the visa. Employer Nomination Scheme, ENS, requires employer sponsorship for skilled workers with permanent residency potential. Non-sponsored options. Temporary graduate visa, subclass 485, available to recent graduates to work temporarily without employer sponsorship. Skilled independent visa, subclass 189. A points-based visa for skilled workers who do not need sponsorship, often based on qualifications, work experience, and language ability. Global talent visa, available for highly skilled individuals in priority sectors without needing employer sponsorship. 5. Germany. Employer-sponsored work visas. EU Blue Card requires a job offer with a certain salary threshold and a degree that qualifies for the role. The employer plays a key role in the application. General Employment Visa requires a job offer and that the position be related to the applicant's qualifications. Non-sponsored options. Job Seeker Visa allows qualified graduates to enter Germany for up to 6 months to search for a job. This visa does not require sponsorship, but requires financial proof for self-support during the job search. Freelance Visa for those in certain professional fields, like artists, journalists, or language teachers, who can apply for self-employment without a sponsoring employer. Summary. In many cases, work visas do require employer sponsorship, but there are non-sponsored options available depending on qualifications, field of expertise, or post-study work authorizations. For long-term residency, self-sponsorship options also exist, especially for highly skilled individuals or those in specialized fields. For more precise answers to your queries, please visit https://adakelc.com/tri_at_out.